The weight of this situation has pressed on me for far too long, a simmering resentment that makes my very soul ache and leaves me sleepless. It all began when my wife received an unexpected job offer, one that promised a new chapter, yet threatened to unravel our carefully built life. It was a position across the country, demanding a complete relocation and crucially frequent travel obligations. My wife was absolutely ecstatic, convinced this was a monumental career-defining leap for her, a dream finally within reach. But a critical, undeniable obstacle stood firmly in our way. Our two young children, whose lives would be uprooted, and my established medical practice, deeply rooted right here in our community. Her potential earnings, however, were a mere fraction, less than half of what I currently make, a significant detail. She isn't working at the moment, so I laid out a condition that seemed only logical. If she truly wanted to pursue this distant opportunity, she would have to contribute significantly to our childcare expenses. This would almost certainly necessitate hiring a dedicated nanny, given my demanding and often unpredictable hospital shifts. My work frequently requires grueling hours, sudden calls, and mandated overnight stays, making consistent, reliable childcare absolutely indispensable for our family's stability. Yet she recoiled, claiming my proposal was utterly unfair, a cruel stipulation. Her argument, she would effectively have to cover her own living expenses. Such a move, combined with exorbitant childcare costs, would leave her with virtually nothing, a painful reality I simply couldn't ignore. Adding insult to injury, this dream job offers no relocation bonus. She then floated the idea of uprooting our lives, relocating solely for her ambition. But our world, our foundation, is here. Our children thrive among friends, and transferring my hard-earned medical license isn't a simple administrative task. It's a complex nightmare. Her most recent and frankly most jarring suggestion was a radical separation. She would take the children, while I remained here, solely responsible for all childcare and household expenses. Her justification, cost of living and childcare elsewhere is supposedly cheaper. Yet even by her generous estimates, her salary would barely sustain me as a stay-at-home parent, rendering my vital career aspirations moot, an unbearable sacrifice. I yearn to be her biggest advocate, to stand by her career choices, but these solutions feel profoundly ill-conceived, half-baked, leaving me with a knot of anxiety and a sinking feeling. Many who heard my plight agreed. They saw the impracticality, recognizing my concerns were justified, especially with our children's well-being at stake. This isn't about her working, it's about this specific, unviable, selfish path. It's about protecting our family, our future, from reckless dreams. My frustration is palpable. A constant ache. I've been struggling with a profound dilemma, one that truly threatens the very foundation of our family. My wife's recent job offer has presented a stark choice, and I find myself utterly torn. My core belief remains unwavering. I am not against her working at all, but I am unequivocally against moving to a different state. To wrench our children away from their cherished friends, to disrupt their young lives so completely, feels not just rude but entirely unnecessary. It's a move I simply cannot condone. What are her long-term prospects here locally? For what she truly wants to do, they are not great. She could, of course, leverage her engineering degree at a civil engineering firm doing consulting, a path she walked before and one she intensely hated. Her current offer, however, is different. It would have her working on vital infrastructure, something genuinely meaningful. This is crucial. As a female engineer, she is profoundly sick of the consulting world. She yearns to do something that truly matters. But she feels that our current location is a big boys' club, a frustrating reality that was a significant factor in her becoming a stay-at-home mother in the first place. Others might see our situation as incredibly strange for a married couple with children. Her thinking this job and its relocation are viable options seems, to many, quite crazy. It clearly doesn't make sense in all the ways that truly matter logistically, financially, emotionally. The very fact that she suggested she take this radical step, her demand to take the children and leave me behind, feels profoundly unnatural, deeply unsettling. It forces me to question everything, to wonder what hidden currents pull us apart. Are we truly happy, or is our bond merely a fragile illusion? She's been a stay-at-home mother for so long, has it made her fearful of the future? Perhaps she sees this as her sole escape, her only chance to reclaim a career. Have we truly sat down as partners to discuss her ambitions, to chart a course that considers all our family's needs? Am I prepared to let my career take a backseat, to sacrifice my own progress for her reestablishment? This chasm between us, it screams of unmet needs, of unspoken resentments. It hints at cracks far deeper than mere miscommunication. Yet some cruelly suggest my position as a doctor grants me effortless freedom. They believe I can simply sever ties, uproot my life, and restart anew. But the reality is starkly different. My profession binds me. The proposed state isn't part of the Interstate Medical Licensure Compact. The bureaucratic hurdles are immense, suffocating. And how could I abandon my patients? They rely on me, my oath, my commitment. It is not a suggestion but a sacred, unbreakable trust. To sever these ties would be an unthinkable betrayal. My heart aches with this impossible choice. This isn't merely a career move. It's a test of our entire life together. And I fear the outcome. I've been quiet too long. This developing storm still makes me shiver with unease. It truly began when someone probed the core of it. Why would she abandon me, move cross-country, and start a new life with our children? They hinted at hidden connections, a fishy undercurrent, and their suspicion resonated with my own. My wife's explanation was direct. Her old college professor and mentor personally recruited her. An enticing offer, I concede. But what of our asterisk shared life? What of asterisk my asterisk unwavering commitments here, my established career? My professional life is extensive and demanding. I manage my own practice while also working and teaching at our state learning hospital. I serve as director of the Multiple Sclerosis Center and director of the Neurology Residency Program. My MS specialization demands absolute continuity of care. Many patients, profoundly reliant on my expertise, would be utterly devastated. Finding a qualified replacement would be an arduous and lengthy process, especially one maintaining my rates and, critically, accepting Medicaid, a vital service few others here provide. Our children are just 5 and 8, so incredibly vulnerable. The thought of them starting anew without my consistent daily presence fills me with a profound, aching dread. This unfolding drama, this truly selfish contemplation, already fractures our family's foundation. Just 3 days ago, September 18, 2025, I broke. I confronted her, calling her selfish for even considering this devastating move. This swift update confirms our struggles have merely begun. The ground beneath our feet feels unstable, threatened by a cross-country move. A storm brews within our family. Despite requests, little has shifted in this agonizing dilemma. Our children predictably love being here. Kids, their world is rooted in familiarity. My wife's ambition clashes with their comfort. The job offer from her old professor mentor holds immense sway. As a female engineer, she feels deeply understood, uniquely validated. This connection pulls her powerfully towards the new role. Let me be clear. My wife is free. She needs no permission to pursue her aspirations. But she cannot, by any means, expect us to uproot our entire lives on the drop of a dime. I would never impose such an abrupt demand upon her. I proposed an alternative, a compromise, establish her own firm right here. I urged her to gather like-minded individuals to craft the work environment she desires. Her concern gnaws. The formidable barrier to entry, the struggle to penetrate industry. I offered assurance, pledging we could fund such a bold venture, yet moving now is simply impossible. My ongoing research and work demand time. I require a full year to put my affairs in order. A hasty relocation would plunge my professional life into chaos. This unresolved tension, a heavy shadow, persists over our future. My focus is unwavering. I'm pouring energy into establishing an infusion center near the hospital, a sanctuary designed to accept every insurance plan. This project carries immense personal weight. It's a direct response to the heartbreaking reality that so many existing local centers cruelly turn patients away, citing pitifully low reimbursements from certain insurers. Beyond this, I'm planning to expand my MS clinic, seeking more dedicated providers who embrace this crucial labor of love for our community. These are not mere professional ventures. They are personal commitments I cannot and will not abandon. I had to be honest with my wife. I told her plainly I had no intention of holding her back. If she wished to leave, that was her choice. But I also made a boundary clear. I would not, under any circumstances, financially sustain two separate households. Her decision to move would mean she alone bore full responsibility for every cost associated with her relocation. My financial commitment would strictly extend only to our shared expenses and the upkeep of our primary residence here. I would manage and cover everything within this home, while she would become entirely responsible for all her own personal expenses. I even warned her about our joint credit cards. Knowing her tendencies, I would probably lower their limits or cancel them, fearing she might resort to living off credit if left to her own devices. As a final, hopeful gesture, I proposed an alternative. What if she could request to work from home for 3 out of her 4 non-traveling weeks? We could then take things slow, observe what TA chilling revelation now casts a long shadow over my marriage. My wife's sudden urgency to make a drastic move feels unsettling. She dismisses fundamental steps like researching housing or schools, the very essence of planning. Her rigid insistence claims a definitive answer by October, allowing no space for my concerns. This urgency fuels a growing fear. Divorce, a word I never wish to utter, haunts me. Raised by my father, I absorbed his philosophy, no point fighting if a person has checked out. If my wife genuinely desires to sever our ties, I will honor her decision, despite the deep pain it will cause. This potential separation feels stark, especially after only 5 years as a stay-at-home parent. She worked tirelessly when our first child arrived and continued well into her second pregnancy. After maternity leave, she returned to her career. But months later, a cruel blow. She was unfairly passed over for a significant project she meticulously prepared. This betrayal prompted her to quit, choosing to devote herself to our children. Yet our children have rarely been without external care. They've been in daycare or lovingly tended by their grandparents. My mother dedicated 2 years to our firstborn, and her parents stepped in for our second. Our youngest has attended academic daycare since 3, as my wife puts it. So her days are not without stimulation or relief. The situation is complex, leaving me to face an uncertain future. Eeks, or she is constantly, utterly alone, bearing the full weight of caring for our children. My own work demands are inherently chaotic, a fact I made meticulously and abundantly clear from the earliest moments of our courtship, long before we embarked on this journey together. My deep-seated dedication to serving our community was not only well-established but openly embraced. A chilling, unshakable certainty has settled deep within my gut: she will take this job. And with that choice, I foresee the undeniable specter of divorce, a harsh and painful reality, ominously looming over our very lives. The sheer, relentless volume of her envisioned travel almost certainly guarantees I would secure primary custody of our children. Despite this, I would never, under any circumstance, demand child support from her. I harbor absolutely no desire, no inherent need for such a thing. Forgive this admittedly fragmented, almost chaotic stream of thought, but this situation gnaws relentlessly at my very core, a frustrating and truly agonizing dilemma I never, ever wished upon myself or my family. I carry critical, life-sustaining responsibilities that cannot simply be abandoned, cast aside capriciously, without due process or proper notice. Should divorce become our reality, then so be it. This is simply the difficult, unchosen hand we are dealt, and I will face it head-on, with whatever strength I can muster. I intend to share the same profound and enduring wisdom my own loving parents once so gently imparted to me. Just because they ceased to be together, it never meant either of them loved me any less. While their own separation did not entail a vast cross-country chasm, they resided mere blocks from one another. I've always handled life's transitions well, hoping our children would learn the same resilience. But my wife's latest news has plunged me into despair. The job offer, which now seems set in stone for her, is far worse than imagined. It's for a small startup, a tiny team, and they secured their first project by taking an enormous cut to their own profits. This means her pay isn't just less than half of what I make, it's a meager third at best. The stark truth is devastating: she won't afford any shared expenses, barely sustaining herself. She plans to move cross-country for an income that won't even support her alone. She claims it's temporary until the firm establishes itself, but it feels like a precarious, baffling gamble. All indications are she'll take it. We'll adjust, of course, but the strain on our marriage is immense, palpable. If divorce happens, it happens. That's simply life. I love my wife, but she is her own person, guided by her own free will. Still, a chilling caution whispers. Be careful. A lawyer for protective measures seems unavoidable now. The future feels incredibly uncertain, fraught with challenges. A gnawing worry began to creep in, sparked by unsettling advice. Someone close suggested I safeguard assets, fearing divorce. With my wife across the country, alone, childless, they speculated she might be plotting. When the cat's away, mice will play, they warned, a cynical adage that hit me hard. Initially, I dismissed a nasty battle. If divorce loomed, I would not fight. I would simply give her half her legal entitlement, perhaps buying her out of the house. I would not fuss over trivialities. She clearly disliked our life here. If she wanted more, I conceded her right. But then another friend's words pierced my calm. Think about your business and retirement, they urged, cautious. I hope I'm wrong, but she might be making moves without even asking for divorce. This thought struck me profoundly. It was a valid point, entirely overlooked. Cold dread set in, revealing a terrifying blind spot. My unease intensified responding to a nasty, downvoted comment. This person questioned my wife's sacrifices during medical school and her household contributions. The accusation felt like a direct attack on her character. I had to clarify the truth. We were merely friends during medical school. Our relationship hadn't begun. She didn't quit her job until after our second child, and even then worked another year. The idea I'd leave obligations on such short notice, disregarding her efforts, was deeply unfair. I grapple with profound uncertainty, wondering what truths I'm missing. This feels like slow, creeping betrayal. I fear what I might yet uncover. The demands felt impossible, unprofessional. For our family to move, I'd need at least a year. Our children, cherished and supported, have been in daycare since 3, with grandparent support. My partner isn't isolated, her life's rich, connected. I understood her career yearning, but this job offer by all metrics was a devastating bad deal. Yet questions persisted about my chaotic schedule. Others scrutinized my hours, pressing for specifics on my current routine and what it would become post-expansion. Their pointed curiosity, almost a challenge, probed the depths of my demanding life. I didn't immediately grasp their intent, but the undertone was clear. They wanted to understand the chaos I'd alluded to. Here's the truth. Outside my mandated hospital shifts, I am home no later than 7. A consistent 7 to 7. Once the children are asleep, my quiet work begins. I respond to patient messages, review and update notes from midnight to 2, but only once weekly. Sometimes I work weekends for working parents, their only availability. These are brief 8 to 11 a.m. sessions for a handful of patients. This is a rare monthly occurrence. I admit this regimen is less than ideal. It takes a heavy toll, yet my reasons for going this far are profoundly personal. My grandfather suffered from MS, a brutal, ravaging disease. His profound suffering fuels my every decision, every sacrifice, compelling me to endure this difficult path. It is a burden, yes, but one I carry with unwavering purpose. The shadow of a potential divorce looms large, forcing me to confront truly agonizing choices about our children's future. Others have urged reconsideration of child support, stressing its crucial impact. They paint a picture of investments, a safety net that could dramatically change their young lives, preparing them for challenges our generation never faced. A bit extra, they argue, might make an enormous difference in their path forward. Yet a fierce internal battle rages. Perhaps it's pride or simply ego, but if separation truly comes, I will not request child support from her. I envision her using that money as she sees fit, praying she'd prioritize what's best for our kids. My reluctance stems from her past claims of financial hardship. I cannot bring myself to take money from someone who insisted they couldn't afford it. More profoundly, I yearn for a definitive severance, a life with minimal interaction. The thought of chasing her for payments, initiating legal hearings over defaults, or enduring constant adjustments fills me with dread. Thankfully, I've diligently saved for our children's future since day one. This decision, though deeply personal, still requires careful navigation. I know I must consult my attorney, seeking guidance on this complex, emotionally charged path, ensuring every step protects my children's best interests while maintaining my resolve for a clean break. The weight of this choice is immense. The moment of truth eventually arrives. This is my final update, rendered with a heavy heart just 11 days ago, on September 29, 2025. It was an agonizing decision, born from conflicting loyalties and deep reflection. I deeply appreciated the insightful feedback, particularly the suggestion to explore adjacent states. Yet my priorities, though perhaps deemed skewed by some, are firmly rooted here. My children, their voices resolute, simply refuse to leave this community, the only home they've ever known. My own ties here run just as deep, entwined with the fabric of this place. A profound sense of duty compels me. I bear a sacred responsibility to my patients and students, a commitment that for some might seem ephemeral, but for those living with multiple sclerosis, it is everything. Finding a doctor they trust, a true ally in their unpredictable battle, is an arduous, lengthy quest. I strive to be that steadfast presence. I lead essential local support groups, host vital information seminars, and actively participate in groundbreaking trials for new treatments. We are now on the verge of launching our own pioneering stem cell therapy trial, a beacon of hope for individuals battling more active, progressive MS, resistant to current therapies. My ultimate purpose is dual: to gather crucial information and, crucially, to ensure these individuals gain access to this transformative treatment, a lifeline I cannot abandon. My path is clear. A cold dread settled over me as this promising opportunity emerged, glittering with potential, yet burdened by an almost unbearable financial cost. But even money pales in comparison to the well-being of our children. They are not mere spectators in our lives. They are active, cherished members of this family, and their opinions, their very happiness, must always be our paramount concern. To disregard their profound feelings is simply unthinkable, an unforgivable betrayal of our shared future. Some would and have accused me of being uncaring, of lacking the fierce passion that defines true love. But my love for my wife runs deep, a silent river beneath the surface. I simply believe a relationship isn't a battleground, a never-ending fight for validation. It either flourishes organically, driven by mutual desire and respect, or it inevitably withers. To constantly struggle to plead, to desperately prove the depth of one's affection feels profoundly wrong, almost demeaning. Who am I to twist her arm, to sway her mind from a path she so clearly yearns for? If this is her ambition, her undeniable prerogative, then she must claim it. Despite my profound misgivings, she made her choice. The job was hers. A heavy silence descended between us, thick with unspoken consequences. She insists she doesn't want divorce, that it's not part of her grand plan. Yet my own heart hovers precariously on the brink, teetering on the edge of that final, irreversible decision. I sought counsel from my parents, from her own parents. Unanimously, they agreed. What she was doing defied all logic, a bewildering, reckless gamble. Her father, with a resigned sigh, captured the grim reality perfectly. Once her mind is set, he stated, nothing will change it. Your only option is to be her safety net. Be there when she inevitably falls, for statistically she will fail. But I will not be her safety net. I refuse to exist merely as a fallback plan, a convenient cushion for a disaster she so stubbornly, so willfully constructs. My spirit rebels against becoming her insurance policy, waiting silently for the inevitable crash when everything collapses. Her decision to move south shattered our family's very foundation. She proposed a stark arrangement. The children would remain with me, she would visit for major holidays and 2 weeks each summer. My heart truly ached at this fragmented future. Financial realities quickly surfaced, stark and undeniable. Her new life would demand substantial support. Rent alone would hover around $1,750, not counting utilities and other necessities. With her projected take-home pay barely touching $3,500, the numbers simply wouldn't align. The more she detailed her vision, the more untenable it became. Desperate for a path forward, I offered to cover her first 6 months' rent. This bitter concession would almost certainly seal our separation, perhaps even divorce. A crushing reality, a fresh wave of resentment then crashed over me. She expressed anger that I was considering a nanny now after her departure. I tried to make her understand the stark absurdity. Why a nanny when she wasn't working, and our children were already in the academic daycare she praised? I gently reminded her that her choice to leave her job had been entirely her own, a personal decision I supported, believing it was truly what she desired. Despite everything, the children remain unaware of the impending storm. They only know their mother considers a new job, one that might take her far away for a while. My heart breaks for them. I have consulted an attorney, but for now I am holding back on formal proceedings. A fragile hope still flickers, however faint, for a resolution that might spare our children the full pain of this unfolding drama. The silence is deafening, the uncertainty agonizing, a quiet storm brews within me, facing my marriage's dissolution. Our children's lives are rooted deeply here, their routines a sanctuary, their support system firm. I hope she wouldn't disrupt their peace, tear them from all they know. Despite reservations, I contemplate this long-distance charade, my heart heavy with doubt. A gnawing suspicion, I am merely a stepping stone, a bridge. This move, I sense, isn't desperate, it's calculated. Even her father sighing confirmed my darkest fears. Perhaps she desires a battle for our union, a plea from me. But a marriage true and strong shouldn't demand a fight for survival. It should simply endure. My heart aches with love, wishing she'd stay, yet my mind concedes, if her path truly leads away, I cannot hold her captive. It would be cruel to believe her joy hinges solely on me or the children. She is a radiant soul. It would be arrogance to imagine she wouldn't find another, someone whose dreams align perfectly with hers, more in step with her truly deepest desires. Regardless of the storm, I believe we will find our calm. I am ready for practicalities, to buy her share of the home at fair market value, to divide our lives meticulously, then close this painful chapter. Our children remain our shared priority, we will co-parent with utmost dedication. I harbor no hatred, only a profound, melancholic acceptance of what has become. I cannot fathom anything else. My wife currently dislikes her life, and that is fine. Perhaps I am just a weird guy, but I see no real point in therapy. The fact she desires this means that much to her. Facts are facts. If she truly considered the kids or our marriage, she would not even consider this a viable option, let alone take the offer. This undeniable truth stings. If divorce ends up happening, I've spoken with my lawyer. He told me it would be up to me to request it. It's not automatically awarded during the custody portion. I most likely will not request it. Instead, I hope she does what is best for our children when it comes to saving for higher education or future expenses like a house or whatever. Thanks again for the feedback. Our family will be fine. It is a complex situation full of difficult choices and stark realities. A relevant comment I saw provides perspective. Move for her because he loves her and wants to see her career succeed. Do you know how easy it is for a male doctor who's halfway decent to get a job offer, and how hard it is for a female engineer who's had 5 empty years on her resume? This highlights the challenging dynamics of opportunity and sacrifice. The world, they say, isn't fair. I understand this truth profoundly, grappling with a decision tearing at my soul. When women prove themselves twice over, working treble as hard for a fraction of recognition, especially in a recession, how can I judge her desire for a job, for a future, even if it alters ours? Yet the agonizing truth is our children vehemently resist moving. How could I, as their father, willingly uproot them from everything they've known, their friends, their cherished family, the very fabric of their young lives? The thought alone is a betrayal. Some praise my apparent rationality, perhaps attributing it to my profession as a physician, advising me not to cater to what they label her midlife crisis. They say, "Wish you well, doc." But then another, harsher voice emerges, challenging my very core. A truly rational person wouldn't pay his wife to abandon him and his kids against his will. The judgment is a cruel blow, a searing indictment of my intentions. They don't see the full scope of my torment. I am doing this not out of weakness, but because I yearn to provide the best possible avenue for our children to forge and maintain a relationship with their mother. I am not a monster. She is the mother of my children, and that bond, however strained, must be preserved. I cannot bear the thought of her struggling so profoundly that she is utterly unable to see them, to be part of their lives. This agonizing sacrifice, this pain, is for them. I know in my heart that this marriage is probably done, truly over. But I absolutely refuse to force any kind of relationship with their mother upon our innocent children. If they ultimately choose to have nothing at all to do with her, that heartbreaking decision will be entirely and unequivocally theirs to make, and I will respect it. I will, however, meticulously limit any conceivable excuse she could ever use that I was the reason things turned out this way. For me, this painful dissolution will simply be treated like any other unavoidable bill, a cost of living that must be paid. Don't misunderstand my resolve. I am fully and utterly prepared to initiate and see through this divorce. And if she, for some baffling reason, wants to turn this deeply personal matter into some grand, public spectacle, a bitter battle in the legal arena, then I am also more than ready to descend into that rabbit hole with her. Trust me on this, my attorney is not only exceptionally competent, but also exceedingly willing to take my money and fight this fight to its absolute conclusion. A vital question lingers, one that weighs heavily on my mind. Will I be on the hook for all the mounting debt that my estranged wife will inevitably accumulate as this separation unfolds? My skilled lawyer patiently explained that while married debt is generally shared, a compelling legal argument can certainly be made. Specifically, debt she accumulated in a completely different state could potentially be taken out of our joint calculations. I will, of course, keep rigorous track of every single expenditure. This critical oversight is precisely why my lawyer specifically told me to leave her on my credit accounts. It allows me to actively monitor what is spent, and when it reaches a certain predetermined threshold, I will not hesitate for a second. I will pull the trigger on those papers. Some may find my approach calculating, but I understand my reasons completely. My current life chapter is profoundly unsettling, a true test of my endurance. I find myself clinging to a 6-month plan, a fragile hope in the face of what feels like cruel manipulation. The gnawing fear of being used, exploited is a constant companion, yet I refuse to waver. I made the agonizing choice to include my children in these difficult conversations, a monumental step, clearly showing my unwavering commitment, my heart as a caring father. It's become painfully clear. My wife desires to leave, to bolt from our shared life, but she desperately wants me to be the bad guy. I will not allow it. If after these critical 6 months her financial situation remains unimproved, the ultimate decision will fall solely on her. I won't force her hand, nor will I wear her guilt. I only hope my patients recognize the sacrifices I make for them, even as my personal world threatens to shatter. I'm resolute in denying her any ammunition, any poisonous narrative to weaponize against me. If she chooses not to see our children, they will understand it was her choice, her abandonment, nothing to do with me. She may resort to lies, that's her nature, but I am prepared. Receipts, tangible proof will surely tell the truth. This 6-month window is her final reprieve, the limit of my patience and support in this arrangement. Concerns have been raised about our children's college funds amid this personal upheaval. Let me assure everyone, we are incredibly fortunate. Unless tuition spirals into unimaginable millions, their educational futures are secure. Though I am also know my children won't know they have a college fund. I refuse to simply hand them their future. I want them to truly earn it, to strive with all their might. My profession, as a doctor in a consistently geriatric field, ensures a high income, a secure financial bedrock. This means I can truly provide for their education if absolutely necessary. But my deepest hope is that they push for scholarships, meticulously paving their own path. Their journey must be one of self-reliance and ambition. Ultimately, I will be there, a steadfast support, but only when truly needed.